Hey, Patrick, how you doing, bud?
Not too bad at all. Not too bad. So we said to people we come back with there was a breaking news on Buffalo public schools, and here we are. It's a nice
Right.
follow up.
So Detective Richard High is with Brandon Herrera, Eli Double Tap, and Nick the Fat Electrician on Unsubscribed Podcast, episode 256. Describing, we're truncating this. We're going to get some of the major things out. If you guys want to pick it up and watch it, it is the Unsubscribed Podcast number 256, where we're bringing up the determination of some of the investigation, and we're going to play you 4 or 5 clips from this. And if you want to see more, you can check out the episode. It's really good. But as the Unsubscribed podcast does, they a lot of banter and smack talk. We just wanted to get to the heart of the issue. They're really good at it. They're really funny. We really like them. So I'll go ahead and play. We're going to play about 20 seconds of this, talk about it, then we'll get to our next clip. So here we go.
So the school's complaint to the district attorney's office when they requested video of it was that the district attorney's request was too vague, and that the district attorney's request, the ADA that had the case, was we need all video camera footage regarding this incident, right? So while this investigation happens of the law firm looking into the school about the video footage that was like not totally sent over to the district attorney's office, their findings was...
What do you mean not totally sent over?
So, a little refresher. The reason why there was an issue with the one parent not knowing that their child was involved. So originally it came out as one potential abduction. And then after our interview and media attention, it came out that there was a second child that was attempted to be abducted during this. And
right. So in the investigation, only one child was reported as having been attempted to be abducted by the individual who went into the school in the Buffalo School District. And come to find out there were actually 2. So the district attorney requested all of the video, and they didn't get all of the video, right?
Yes.
So there was some kind of issue with verbiage, and the attorneys for the school district saying your request was too vague. Apparently they didn't understand what the word all meant. They're like, give us all of the information. They just declined to do it.
Yes, I don't see where the misunderstanding can be. If they are asking for all video footage from the school on this particular time period, where is the misunderstanding? I would love to know that.
Right. So what they're hiding behind is a thing called FERPA. And FERPA is if you're the parent of a child or their guardian, you're allowed to request attendance records. Like, why wasn't Johnny in school on Wednesday? Oh, doctor appointment, dental appointment, wasn't feeling well, whatever. Or their report cards, things like that, right? So what they're saying is a lot of this information is covered under the protection of the children in that school district, which is a thing called FERPA. So they're hiding behind this thing saying, well, no, you can't have that information because it violates FERPA. But FERPA is just for acquisition of records and things, not for if there was an attack on a student, right? So that's a criminal issue that's investigated by Detective High and the people with whom he works in the Buffalo Police Department, right? So that's a super important.
Funny enough, it's the same. Yeah, the same thing that happens here in Ireland as well. They hide behind the Data Protection Act,
right?
You know, a lot of times, a lot of our schools, where they use the law as a cover for themselves.
Well, what they use is they'll use an internal policy.
Yes.
That doesn't perform the function that they say it performs, right? Yes. You can't have that information because it's in violation of a policy, except that local, state, federal, county law, whatever, supersedes that when there's an emergent situation or an investigation. I'm investigating a criminal act of abduction in your school. I need all of the information so that I can investigate this to the fullest to find out what evidentiary value I can bring to bear upon the individual that perpetrated the crime. Right? Because I have to bring it to a grand jury. The grand jury has to decide if there's going to be an indictment. And if there's an indictment, it's because they had enough information to get the indictment. If they don't have all the information, then they can't make a good case. And then the follow-on or the knock-on effect is they can more effectively safeguard students, right? Which is the most important resource in our world is our children. And when you do something bad to the kids, there should be some kind of retribution, some kind of justice, right?
I cannot understand what the school is trying to hide. It should be in their best interest to make sure this does not happen again.
Right, but then they get egg on their face, and then they're subject to being kicked off the school board and lots of other right. So they'll be publicly shamed, and there was a lot of that going on. They're like, "You people failed. We didn't fail. You failed. You did," and it was plain as the nose on your face. Like, here you go. This is your failure. You have to eat this, and they just fight it and fight it and fight it and fight it, hoping somehow it'll go away. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
All right, so let's pop over to this next clip.
So the investigation from the lawyer's office, the legal team, they find out that, and this is their response, is that the district attorney's request for video evidence of the entire incident was so vague that people who reviewed the video footage were like, oh, there's 3 cameras down this hallway. We'll give you 1 of the cameras.
Right, so you'll understand that is not all of the cameras. Again,
yes,
Detective Richard High cannot make a case. He cannot do his job unless you give him all the tools with which to do his job. And since we're safeguarding children, it should be give them all of the information. Do the best that you can to be as transparent and as upfront with the issue so the issue can be resolved. If you don't give me all the information, I can't appropriately manipulate it. You get to good solutions. And I don't mean manipulate in a bad way. I mean, give me all the things so I can use all the investigative tools I have to find the best information that I can.
Exactly. That's all the detectives are looking for. I can't understand what they're trying to hide. It still comes back to, as you were saying, comes down to money at the end of the day. They don't want to lose their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, surely somebody should lose their jobs if an incident like this happens.
Right. Especially if you guys look at our previous episode, there was a locked door issue, and doors to the science facility that were next to the school were unlocked. In fact, some of the teachers were saying, we need to lock that door. We need to do a thing. School board said, don't you worry about it. It'll be okay. And then when it's not okay, right, everything's fine until it's not fine. Then something like this happens, and now everybody gets egg on their face because the teacher said, we need the thing. The school board said, no, they needed the thing. They needed the door to be locked. They needed access, right, to be stopped. Egress, sure. Allow people to get out that way. If there's a fire or some kind of emergency in the building, that's fine. But you need to lock the door so people can't just walk in and perpetrate crimes like this. So
yes, but what we found sinister was the fact that there was a veiled threat made to teachers if they spoke out to any of the investigators in this case.
Right. And that was pretty horrible too. Again, if you go back to our previous episode, we'll post that episode as well so you guys can review it from our angle as we saw what they were talking about. And we were very unhappy with the last 2 of these. We did very unhappy.
What shocked me more is the amount of money that's at stake here for these guys.
Oh yeah,
hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right, and we also
a lot of these guys.
We covered Ms. Cruz from Washington State, right?
Yes,
and she was talking about in the highest earning areas of Washington State, these administrators at the top are making $300,000-$400,000, right? The unsubscribed podcast.
I think the lowest paid was $350, if I remember right. It was actually $350 was the lowest.
No, I think it was $329, but that's still
still a lot of money.
Insane. Right, but you have to understand that even like the SPED directors and all the other people on those boards, all of them are making 2 and 3 times what the basic functionaries in that community are making. They're making an insane amount of money in comparison to
the average teacher was making $48,000 in the same area.
Right. Well, no, I mean even your baseline jobs, right?
Yeah.
Even the good paying jobs. And I get that these guys are doctors of education. They have their doctorate in education, but I don't know if a doctorate in education is worth $400,000 a year, nor is it having your other directors on your board being up over $200,000. You're paying your board, $1 to $2 million, and the students aren't getting those resources. They're going into the pockets of the administrators, which is a horrible problem we have in our schools in the United States. Like the amount of administrators has quadrupled or quintupled in the last 25 years.
I remember when they were covering this, they were saying there was 2 administrators for every teacher, frontline teacher.
Which is insane. which is insane.
Yes, it's absolutely crazy.
You don't.
But that's what I said. It's a way. Okay, our educational system over here is a way different from the United States. Where nearly all our school boards, public school boards, are all voluntarily based, volunteers.
I have a question for you. Do they teach critical thinking in Irish schools?
Yes.
They do not teach a lot of critical thinking in our schools. And a lot of the education I got was because I had to go outside of the scholastic system as it is in place.
You try to explain to the audience what you mean by that, by the way, just in case.
Oh, so certain kinds of Western history or world history or critical thinking processes, not to teach children what to think, but how to come to solutions and how to solve things for oneself and create a worldview that's functional, is decidedly absent from the American school system. And it used to be that you could go to college and you would get those tools, but now even college doesn't provide those tools, but they do provide a lot of administrators to administer the lack that they have, I suppose. So anyway, we've gotten a little bit off topic, but I thought that was an important thing to bring up. So we'll let Detective High cook here.
Even if all three of the video cameras recorded the incident at different angles and perhaps different times, we'll only give you one.
Is there a word for like when you want everything pertaining to something, or like all oh, there's a word, all.
Yeah. Involving the incident. We would like all video involving.
I'm sorry, was that
incident.
too vague?
Thank you, Nick. So what he's saying, well, Detective High is saying, I want it all, right? So there have been a lot of shootings in the United States, guns, whatever, right? But the thing is if it's just one angle, you will see something and say, well, obviously X person is at fault for whatever happened. But if you get another angle, you can be like, oh my God, no, the perpetrator of the crime also had a firearm and was bringing it to bear on the law enforcement agent, who then had no choice but to deploy lethal force, right?
Yeah,
not just a threat of lethal force, but actual lethal force.
But also works the opposite way as well. You know,
yes.
But video evidence is very, very important for all cases or all incidents involving law enforcement, or in this case, schools. The more evidence you have, the better your case is, to be honest.
And body-worn cameras, while law enforcement is in the community, that's a good thing. It protects the law enforcement agent if something goes wild. There can't be a group of people saying, he did a wrong thing. Then there's an inquest and there's a problem. But if there's video evidence of either the law enforcement agent acting outside of their training and the guidance from their political bosses, right? Or if the perpetrator of a crime was doing something, and from normally there's two cops on the call, sometimes one, but if there's two cops, then you have two angles. Not only that, there's going to be a camera in the vehicle as well.
I think body-worn cameras are very, very important for all law enforcement, including our own, by the way, over here. I think it'd be very, very... I think the Gardaí especially should be aware. I'm just talking from my own point of view.
Any law enforcement in the community should absolutely 100%, right? For sure, right? That way we can also check training. Did you follow the rules? Did you follow the training, the policies and procedures? Did you do it as safely as you could do it as per your training, right? Super important, super important. All right, we're going to push on to our next clip, and here we go.
You're not qualified to homeschool your kids. You need to send them to me because I'm a professional. Also, I don't know what the word all means. What are we talking about?
Also, I forgot to mention your child was abducted.
Also that.
Yeah. Sorry about that, bro.
So the schools...
Oh, you wanted me to be accountable for all the kids? Are you sure?
That's a great line to bring up. Hey, are you responsible for all the kids? Because what are you concerned, or do you not know what all means when it comes to children?
So he brings up a really good point. So there's an accountability problem, which is why those members of the school board should be facing some kind of retribution for their actions, right? You are either accountable for all of the children, or you can choose. They can choose, hey, which of these children are you going to be responsible for? Every parent wants all of their children to be appropriately accounted for and kept safe in that situation.
Yeah, I think he does bring up a good point. Is these are people who are supposed to be educators who seem to misunderstand the English language when it suits their own agenda.
Right. They manipulate it in the bad way to achieve results that are inconsistent with the safety of the children. And I can't abide by that. Nobody should abide by that. And especially the parents in that school district. And some of them are stuck. They can't send those kids to private school. They have to go to the Buffalo public school system for whatever reason, be it financial or whatever. If they cannot get their child out of that system, they are forced to do it. And as a matter of public safety, their children aren't being appropriately shepherded. They're just not.
I know a lot of people would turn around and say, oh, homeschool is an option. But a lot of parents, homeschool isn't an option. You need both parents working, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well,
they're kind of stuck,
a lot of that has to do with you're forced to have two incomes, right? And a lot of it has to do with the crazy taxation that we have in the United States. It is insane.
Yeah, and taxation, healthcare, cost of
Childcare.
living in general.
Oh, yeah. It's super bad.
Crazy.
So,
absolutely crazy at the moment.
you can see the banter, right? They're saying it in a funny way, but it's a very serious thing. This is very serious, right? Brendan Herrera and Nick are hilarious. They're funny guys, right? So the presentation, it kind of takes some of the pain out of it, but it also makes it easier to take the information in. Yeah, you can digest it. Ha 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 ha. No, it's still bad. We're laughing because we're saying funny things, but the things they're bringing up are very poignant and very important.
It's still very serious.
Yeah.
Especially the fact there's so little accountability. It's absolutely crazy.
It is.
Absolutely crazy.
Let's let the boys cook a little.
It seems so.
One of the parents was warned.
That's all of them.
That's not even the kids should have told you what the. Which they did try to blame the kids.
Carry the one. They actually tried to blame the kids themselves.
We thought the parents would talk, or the children would say something.
So they're expecting children in an emergency situation to remember and then recite that information to their parents, right? You can't expect that all children are going to be able to do that, especially when there's safeguards in place, right? They're supposed to be parents. The parents are supposed to have all the information that they can get because it's the safety of their children, right? That's super important.
The only reason, because I remember one of our previous episodes when they were investigating this, is the parents weren't told about this incident straight away. It was only days later, after some of the children told their parents what happened, the parents rang up the school to find out what was going on. That a general letter and email went out to all parents then. Days later, by the way.
It's inexcusable. Before, as soon as the incident was done, and even while the police were clearing things up, those parents should have been reached out to in some kind of way. I would assume a phone call. Hey, ring, ring, ring. There's been an incident at the school. I need you to come down and get little Johnny or little Mary Sue, and we have issues. And if they need counseling or if they, whatever, like the resources should have been immediately provided to the parents. Or
yes,
something.
Definitely.
So, all right. You see Eli Double Tap there's got two fingers up for maybe both those parents should have been contacted for both those kids. Yeah. Both of them would have been better. So, all right, here we go. We've got our next clip coming up, and boom, here we go.
The other thing, which is massive here, and this is what I want people to really focus on, is the obstruction, is they say, we did not find any obstruction from the Buffalo Public Schools or their legal representatives during this investigation. Now, here's an important piece of information here that they quote and they bring up in the investigation, and that is, the investigating attorneys say, here is a quote from an email from the district attorney's office. Quote, the assistant district attorney to the legal team representing the school of Buffalo City Schools. Your lack of transparency and hiding behind FERPA, which I'll get into in a second, and your inability to share requested subpoenaed evidence with us is obstructing our investigation.
So he brought up the FERPA thing, right? And that's the information on the kids' scholastic record of whatever sort. They were the best baseball player. They were on the chess team. Their grades were this, their attendance records. Like, that's all that stuff, right? But when the assistant district attorney says, you are not doing your job here, you're obstructing our ability to investigate. So they're using the word obstruction, which means you're stopping our ability to do the thing. And beyond that, for some other entity to say that that's not happening, when the ADA sent that to the legal team at the Buffalo Public Schools, is errant. It is wrong, right?
It is.
So
And what I can't understand is they even stonewalled parents as well, the parents of the children, which
right,
is
but you understand
unbelievable.
right, but if you open up that Pandora's box and say we screwed up, then they're opening themselves up to litigious behavior from the parents. Liability, the legal system will start going to work for sure. And I don't know why there isn't a live case on this going right now. Why are none of the members of the school board?
Because the reason there's no live case at the moment is because they're still trying to gather all the evidence that are being stonewalled.
Right.
It's absolutely crazy.
Well, and understand, so the kind of subpoena that this is, there's a subpoena for your person, but there's a thing called a subpoena ducis tecum. And a subpoena ducis tecum is all records of the event, right? If you have paperwork, if you have video, if you have audio, if you have emails, right? So they have been directed specifically to provide the information, right? And it's not just a request, it is a legal requirement to give them the stuff. Give us the stuff. This is a deposition subpoena ducis tecum. It requires you to provide the physical, whatever format of media that it is in, right? The written word, the spoken word, the video, whatever it is, you are required to do the thing. And when they don't do that, they don't give all of the things, they are then obstructing the investigation, which is a form of obstruction of justice, right?
Yeah. That's the problem here is in fairness to the district attorney, they're trying to build a case and they're just being stonewalled at every single avenue at the moment by the school district.
Right, they're trying to piecemeal it out. And then a lot of this had to do with the leader of the school board was going to retire. Oh, and she did have a school named after her, which is hubris beyond any imagining. So that was an interesting thing.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty bad. But they go into it later. I don't know if we're going to hit that clip, but most of the members of the school board were in the same sorority as the individual who was the head of that board.
Yeah, surprisingly, it's just a complete coincidence.
Funny enough, right? All right.
Yeah.
We're going to let the boys cook a little. Here we go.
Well, that's an interesting choice of words.
Which, and this is where I go nuts. Which the attorneys looking into the investigation, the investigating body says, although obstruction is a word commonly used in legal terms for preventing and an arrestable offense for preventing or obstructing an investigation, the district attorney's office, the lawyers, saying you're obstructing my investigation. That's not actually obstruction. That's just like they're using the term. They don't actually mean the word.
They don't mean what they said they mean.
Hey, dude, 100%. And you can read it for yourself. I have it. I shit you not. I wrote down the page of this.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So what they're saying is functionally, it's a gaslighting technique, right? Well, even though they said that, they didn't mean that. That's not what they meant. No, the assistant district attorney knew exactly what they were saying when they sent the email. Hey, give us the things. Give us all that media in whatever format you have it. Specifically in this case, I need all three angles from all three of those cameras from X time before to X time after so that we can conduct an appropriate investigation. It is unforgivable. Unforgivable.
It's not rocket science. But as you said, they're just trying to stonewall at every single opportunity. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're trying to save face. They're trying to avoid litigious behavior from the parents. They are trying to keep their jobs, right? And it looks like many of them on that board are not do that job. They've failed in the fundamental aspect of the safety of the children. It's inexcusable. It is unacceptable. All right. I think we're ready for the next clip. What do you say?
Oh, yes. Oh, God. Yeah, definitely.
Right. This should be the last one for this set. And here we go.
They also go on to state that the video deletion of the kidnapping is, quote, neglectful, but that nobody's at fault.
That's the thing. No one's at fault. And we were discussing it. It's just no one's held accountable. They're like, well, okay, well, are you happy with that? Hey, make sure any particular findings must not translate into harassment, threats, or intimidation directed at anyone. The path forward requires collaboration.
Remember, we were talking about it before. There were threats on the teachers, right? Like, not good.
Yes. Wow.
Right. So no threats, no coercion. But then also they lost, deleted, got rid of some of the information, which is an obstruction of justice, right? So when there's a deposition subpoena ducis tecum, if you destroy records, you are liable for the destruction of those records, and you can be considered complicit after the fact with the commission of the crime, right? That facilitates that specific thing, and that's legit. Oh, well, you had the evidence, we don't have it anymore, so now we're gonna have to try and make this case, and you've gotten rid of the information, and now you're liable. So it just makes sense.
Yes.
If the government or some entity, law enforcement, says, give us the information, you give them the information so they can conduct a better investigation. The better the investigation.
Yes, it's in your best interest too, in the long run.
For sure, 100%. But if you're trying to avoid egg on your face and shame and all those other kinds of things, to include litigious behavior from parents, you might decide, oh my God, I'm going to lose my $300,000 a year job unless I stonewall this and then retire, and then I'm gone. I'm out of here. I'll handle it, right? Not an upstanding citizen's function, right? Let Eli and the boys cook here. Here we go.
Not division. As we work to create the safest possible.
Fuck that shit. Do your job, or I'll make sure you get fired.
Yeah. Oh, bingo. Well, here's the thing that pisses me off is like this idea that, okay, yes, a failure did happen, but nobody failed.
No.
It's like, okay, well, I'm sorry, but I think those two sentences are completely incompatible with each other.
Right. So that's a complete lack of accountability. And then to just say, oh, no, well, we weren't really liable. No, you were. You were at the tip of the spear, but at the place to keep the child safe.
We have to say allegedly liable. Would be very careful when it comes to our language.
I understand. Except the abductions happened at the school during school hours, and then
attempted abductions.
Yes. Okay. Allegedly. But the thing is, well, we'd know for sure if we had all three camera angles now, wouldn't we?
Yes, or if they could finish the investigation.
Right. We could put a cap on it and be like, yep, these people are liable.
Yes.
They screwed it up, and these people didn't provide the evidence, and these people were making threats to the
we
teacher.
We have to be very careful in our language, unfortunately.
Yes. Well, no, it is actually fortunate. I don't want to say a thing that is in fact untrue, right? But Detective High is right at the pointy end of the spear there. He's right there. He's saying, hey, these are the things that are going on, right? And
yes. Yes. But even he picks his language as well. Yeah, I know he gets a bit fiery, but even sometimes you have to be very careful when you're picking your words, especially on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. YouTube's good about that.
Yeah. Yes.
They don't police language at all. All right. Let's let them do a little more cooking.
If a failure had occurred with your organization that allowed something bad to happen, cool, let's fix it, right? But to be able to say that nobody failed at anything. There's no one individual actually didn't do their job. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense, frankly.
We did the math for what was the percentage, 0.03 reported as.
Well, they talk about that in the investigation.
Okay, never mind.
We can't talk about it yet. We can't talk about it yet.
Math doesn't math.
We can't talk about it yet. I'm going to have him FOIA request it, and then we're going to talk about it. Because it's
so FOIA is a Freedom of Information Act. You can request documents from public entities, and then once they do the math, they'll let us know what percentage of any kind of mishap was reported as what the mishap actually was. It looks like there's a miscellaneous file that things tend to fall in. So, but we don't know the percentage, and it can't be talked about until the investigation has reached its conclusion, or there's enough FOIA requests that come out that show that there is evidence in the data that they accumulate that shows a bad pattern. So let them cook a little bit more, and then we're going to shut this thing down for the day.
One of those things that I'm aware of, but we have to FOIA request it.
What would you want to see done now? Or because of this, what's the disappointment? You're like, okay, this needs to happen.
So here's the disappointment, right? And a lot of it comes to that specific incident because it was such a horrible incident, but such a good representation of how the Buffalo school systems do not work with the district attorney's office of the Buffalo Police Department, right? And that is that their investigating body uncovered, and this is in those pages, that 36, 37 to like 41 or 42, you know, and they're wide spaced. It's not going to take you an hour to read. It's going to take you 5-10 minutes. The investigating body writes in their findings, the district attorney's office is emailing the legal team representing the city of Buffalo Public Schools, stating you are intentionally misinterpreting law so that you can defeat an investigation and obstruct an investigation into the abduction of children. That is a fact. That is 100% a fact. If anybody can get anything out of this, 100% fact is that the investigation found the district attorney's office emailed stating, you, the legal representatives of the Buffalo Public Schools, are intentionally misrepresenting legal doctrine and obstructing investigations.
So we're gonna shut down with this one. So in this case, they are obstructing the justice. They are not providing appropriate information. There are things of evidentiary value that the Buffalo Police Department needs in the form of Investigator High and his team to ensure the safety of the children. And it is reprehensible, absolutely reprehensible.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy that they themselves are stopping the police from doing their jobs and the district attorney, the schools themselves.
Yeah, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable behavior, especially from those who are in those places. Keep our children protected, right?
Yes.
All right. We'll close on that. You got anything for the good people there, Patrick?
As I say, we're even watching because I'm the one who put together this package for this video, even listening to the whole video, which I will link down below, or even the full podcast. It's going back to what they keep saying is, what do they have to hide? Why is this so hard for them to give up this information? It all, as I keep saying, it all seems to come down to, we do not want to lose our well-paying jobs. They don't seem to care about the safety of the kids or anything like that.
No.
Or even the teachers, for that fact.
Not even a little bit.
It's crazy.
No.
Absolutely
On
crazy.
that note, I am Alex Johansson. For Patrick McCallum, we are the A&P Gents. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the things. Help us beat the algorithm. We are